coming in. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff met Russian President Putin in St. Petersburg as Donald Trump urged the Russian president to get moving on a ceasefire in Ukraine. The Kremlin said that the meeting lasted for more than 4 hours and focused on aspects of a Ukrainian settlement. The talks marks Special Envoy Witkoff's third with Putin this year and have been described by Russian Special Envoy Kirill Dmitriev as productive. This comes after U.S. President Donald Trump expressed frustration with Putin over the state of ceasefire talks, stating that too many people were dying in the terrible and senseless war. Meanwhile, the White House press secretary has issued a statement. Let's listen in.
And can you update us on Mr. Witkoff in Russia and what's happening with direct communications with Vladimir Putin?
I can confirm that Mr. Witkoff is in Russia to have direct communications with the Kremlin and with Vladimir Putin. This is another step in the negotiating process towards a ceasefire and an ultimate peace deal in Russia and Ukraine. As these negotiations are ongoing, I obviously will not get ahead of the president or his team, but I think the president has been quite clear that he's been continually frustrated with both sides of this conflict, and he wants to see this fighting end. He wants the war to end. We believe we have leverage in negotiating a deal, to a peace deal, and we're going to use that leverage, and the president is.
We have with us my colleague Mehndi Garg joining us on the telecast. Mehndi, what exactly are the details that are coming in terms of this meet between U.S. envoy and Russian president?
Well, yes, Shreya, big developments we are tracking right now as U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff held talks with President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg about the search for a peace deal on Ukraine, as Trump told Russia to get moving. And also Putin has, shown greeting Witkoff in St. Petersburg's presidential library at the start of the negotiations. And state news agencies also stated that the talks lasted for more than 4 hours. And Witkoff has emerged as a key figure in the on of reapproachment between Moscow and Washington amid talks on the Russian side of potential joint investments in the Arctic and also in Russian rare earth minerals. And not only this, Ria, but also the Izvestia a statement has said that and released video of Witkoff leaving a hotel in the city accompanied by Kirill Dmitriev, Putin's investment envoy. And Dmitriev also called the talks on Friday productive, according to the reports. And also, Ria, the talks come at a time when U.S.-Russia dialogues aimed at agreeing a ceasefire ahead of a possible peace deal to end the war in Ukraine appears to have stalled over disagreements, around conditions for a full pause in hostilities. And Trump, who has shown signs of, losing patience, has spoken of imposing secondary sanctions on countries that buy Russian oil if he feels, Moscow is dragging its feet on a Ukrainian deal. So yes, as per the Ukrainian officials as well, which were sent to Washington, a list of targets and beliefs, Russia has struck in violation of the energy infrastructure ceasefire the two countries agreed to last month. And according to the reports and also, Trump has said in his post that Russia has to get moving, and too many people are dying, thousands a week, in a terrible and senseless war, and the war should have never happened and wouldn't have happened if he was the president. These were the words of Donald Trump earlier. And Putin has also said, Ria, that he's ready in principle to agree to a full ceasefire, while emphasizing that crucial implementation details remain unresolved, and also what he describes as the war's root causes have yet to be addressed. Yes, Ria.
All right, Mehndi, thanks for that. Moving on to some other news coming in. Supreme Court for the first time has prescribed that the president